Hey family, I left the old radio world where I had success, despite feeling unappreciated, held back, and bound by red tape. I know what it's like not to be encouraged and to follow peer pressure. My name is Dwayne Diamond. I do a radio podcast on Spreaker called Diamondnate Your Dreams about sharing success stories. Each week I seek out interesting people in entertainment, media, sports, or business so you can listen to success. Their stories are not all filled with awards, parties, and backstage passes, but instead overcoming obstacles, self-doubt, and persevering. Join me on this journey as they encourage you to dominate your dreams with their roadmaps to success. This is Diamondnate Your Dreams. I am Dwayne Diamond. My guest today is Glenn Jones, the American R&B soul gospel singer, actor, countless hit songs, foundation founder, Grammy Award nominee, Stellar Award winner, and the ambassador of love. Glenn Jones, welcome to the show.
Great intro.
Yes, indeed. How have you been, man?
I've been great, man. I've been busy working, traveling, recording, just doing what I do.
And you do it well, man. You certainly have dominated your dream. Where are you living now?
I live in Atlanta.
Grew up in Florida, though. What was the young Glenn like in Florida?
Man, I was just trying to, get out there and get my music heard, get a shot, get an opportunity. I grew up in Florida, but I haven't lived in Florida in probably, I know over 30 years. Mm-hmm. So I lived in New York for quite a while, and I lived in Jersey, and then later on I moved to Williamsburg, Virginia, and I decided to come to Atlanta, to the land of opportunities.
The ATL, man. And I know you started singing, somewhere around 6 or so. And my question has always been, did you get any vocal coaching right then and there, or you just was natural?
No, man, the vocal coaching that I got was singing in church. That's where I learned to sing. Then, I started singing with a group from Jacksonville who used to tour with a lot of the gospel acts, the major gospel acts like the Mighty Clouds and Shirley Caesar, Dodge and Norwood, Dixie Hummingbirds, Five Blind Boys, Julius Cheeks, you name it. And that's where I started to see what it meant to be a professional singer. And I learned a lot from those guys, and I use it right now, So did that until I met Norman Connors. Well, actually, I ended up getting a record deal when I met Reverend James Cleveland. I met him, and he got me a deal at Savoy Records, and I recorded 2 albums. I wrote the songs and played guitar and produced songs. And then I met Norman Connors because he heard my gospel project, and he wanted to feature me on one of his records. It's a R&B ballad called Melancholy Fire, and actually that was the first R&B song I ever recorded. And things just took off from there. I got an offer to sign with RCA.
Definitely want to get into the story about Norman. But going back to James Cleveland, was there any pressure put on you at that age? Because I know you had the talent, and I'm sure there were a lot of expectations. So just by all involved, did you feel pressured?
No, I didn't feel pressured. I welcomed the opportunity because by that time, that was when I was like 17, 18 years old, and I was writing songs. I was a songwriter. So when I met him and we went in the studio, actually we recorded my first gospel album in Los Angeles. We recorded at Ray Charles' studio, RPM. Mm-hmm. And I had written all of the songs, so it was a great opportunity to get my music heard,
And then when you teamed up with Norman and kind of switched over from the gospel to the R&B, so to speak, did you feel torn about leaving the gospel world?
Well, I mean, when I was writing my gospel, it was always contemporary, Mm-hmm. And I just wanted the opportunity to record my music and make it sound from a production standpoint the way I heard all the other stuff, all of the other mainstream stuff. So that was a chance to do that. And the only reason why I felt torn was because of people's attitudes, being brought up in a holiness Pentecostal church, and my mother being in the church and being a missionary and this and that, and my family. And I felt that kind of pressure because, people are going to criticize and, you're on your way to hell and, all that kind of stuff. But I felt like the gift that I had was too big to put it in a box just to say, okay, I'm just going to sing a gospel song. To me, it's all about how you do what you do. Songs that I've written and recorded have stood the test of time. You know, they're still playing them. You know, and those songs were like 30-some years ago. Thank God for that. And I'm just grateful for that. So my music has always been about relationships and commitments and all that. I guess that's why at the end of your intro you said the ambassador of love. You know, I've been I've been given that name, that tag. So it hasn't changed. I'm still doing the same thing.
Well, I'm curious from starting with the gospel and getting into the R&B and then even where you are now, you've had tremendous success. What was your biggest fear along the way?
I guess in a way, when I first started, I was kind of worried about people saying he made the switch, the transition, and he wasn't successful doing it. You know, I was concerned about that. You know how it is. We sometimes build people up, but sometimes we like to see them forward too. So I was concerned about that, but I was just always concerned about doing, you know, great records, you know, doing good music. You know, I didn't want to, you know, give people, you know, music that wasn't pleasing to them. You know, I wanted to be able to do music that they could relate to. I meet a lot of people that say that, you know, this particular song or that song was a song that, you know, helped me and my wife stay together. And, you know, I've had people that say, you know, they had kids, you know, listening to my music. You know, it's, you know, so as long as I was bringing something positive to the table, and, you know, I felt good about that.
Did you ever miss being with a group as opposed to being solo?
Man, nah, man. And that's like being in an opera. You know, sometimes it's just too much drama. You know, I look around now and I see a lot of the groups that I came up listening to that, you know, they influenced me. But you got those groups that, you know, they can't seem to still work together. So you got 2 or 3 different sets, you know, of the same group. You know, whether it's Lakeside or Dramatics or whoever. You know, I ain't trying to put nobody out there like that, but there are different ones.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And no, I never wanted to be a part of that. And it's funny because early on, I really just wrote songs and played guitar and sang background and taught the music to my band. You know, and I had other young cats that would, you know, out front. And then I met my wife, Genovia Jeter, and she was a gospel singer. She was on some boy around the time I was doing my second album, and we started working together and I started dating. And it was just, you know, me moving through my career, you know, honing my craft, you know, because you get to work with people that make you better, and that's what happened. So I was always I always had a lot of support, you know, from my family and even from the musical side, you know.
We'll definitely want to talk about the wifey here a little bit more in a second. I want to talk about your early success though, and I'm curious to know if having that early success was a curse or a blessing.
Trust me, it was a blessing. You know, even though I had it early, I still was able to sustain and maintain, you know, because that's 30 plus years ago, and I'm still doing what I do, travel, you know, making a nice living, and, you know, just doing what I want to do. So, you know, it's like with anything, you know, you have to take the bitter with the sweet. You know, if you own your own business, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. There are peaks and valleys in life, you know. So, but the main thing is that I've always been able to sustain and just be able to love what I do.
Well, you do it well, and I'm certainly a huge fan. Just love your voice and your music. It's kind of mind-boggling to me that you haven't won a Grammy, but you've been nominated, and you were nominated not for the R&B side, but actually a song you did with the wife, right?
Right. Yeah. I have a good friend who has a group called the Canton Spirituals. You know, they're like a superstar quartet group, and I had written a song, and Harvey heard the song, and they were doing a new record, and he asked me if I was interested in doing it with him and my wife. So we went down to Mississippi, and we cut the track, I wrote and produced it and performed on it, and then I produced another song that he had written. And that album, Walking by Faith, was nominated for a Grammy. And then the Stellar Award, won a Stellar Award for that album too. So I'll take it any way I get it, man. But it was just a blast doing that with my wife and my friend. But I don't worry about that, man. There's a lot of great artists that never, truly got that particular honor. I just want to be able to do great records and please my fans, and go out and play the songs and the music and take people back in time so they can say, yeah, I remember, a particular time that was my song, and also be able to play some of my new music, which, have a great project, great album out now, and that's what I look forward to.
We're going to talk about the new project here in just a moment. Do you and the wife still sing together sometimes?
Yeah, we have a song on my new album called "Trust in Me," and it's a inspirational song, but it's beautiful, and she's killing on it, man. And she works with me on my records, like most of the time if I'm in the studio, she's in there, doing some background vocals, or she's, working with me on my lead vocal, because it's a production thing. It's like shooting a movie. There's a producer and a director and all that kind of stuff, So we still work together, in that capacity.
Is that hard to do? I know some couples can work together, some can't. I don't think I could do it with my wife.
Well, I ain't gonna lie, man. Sometimes she get on my nerves, But then again, there's another side. There's a positive side.
Absolutely.
Because she knows me better than anybody else musically. She knows what I'm capable of. And sometimes, you offer one thing and she'll say, well, no, I know you can do better than that. She'll say, I want you to give me one of them Glenn Jones lines. So it took me a while to discover that I had a Glenn Jones line, a very distinctive, way of singing and phrasing, and that's what she says. Give me that Glenn Jones thing. So we work good together.
Well, I will say wives are good support systems. That's definitely true, especially with people in entertainment. I mean, we couldn't do it without a good wife.
Right.
The thing that gets me about you not having the Grammy yet, because I'm still holding out that you'll get one, is that you do so well in R&B and the gospel field. You've had collaborations, I think, with Melvin Williams and Williams Brothers, even with your niece, who was on Sunday Best. And I guess my question is, at any point, have you ever considered just going gospel only and just staying in that area?
No, because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think we should be limited like that. I even doing what I do, I mean, I've gone to perform and sing for a lot of churches, and churches that do marriage retreats and stuff, and when you listen to my lyrical content, it's non-offensive, and, we try to walk in the spiritual, but we live in the natural. And there's times, in relationships, with husband and wife, couples that putting Andre Crouch on ain't gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? It's that music time, bro. You got to have that. And the thing I say is that you come a long way. I mean, the church has grown up a lot. Because when you look at how the music has progressed, gospel music, I mean, come on, man, you would have thought it was something else.
Right.
In the day, everybody's, doing their thing, playing the Parliament P-Funk tracks and stuff underneath their records, and they dancing and doing choreography and everything, So I look at it as a special opportunity when I do get to do gospel, and I will always do that. Matter of fact, with my foundation, I have a nonprofit foundation called the Love Jones Foundation, and we cater to the seniors as well as the young kids. But we go into the senior citizens facilities to go in there and love on them. We call them the forgotten seniors, and I go and I do from from Billie Holiday, Frank Sinatra to Andre Crouch. You know, we had a good time. We had, you know, have a little church up in there too. You know, give them some spiritual food. You know, and it's been a blessing for me. And then I work with the kids, whereas I go in and do workshops and do PowerPoint presentations, just show them the history of music and the different formats in music. You know, many kids don't know what an 8-track or they don't even know what vinyl is, you know.
Right.
So those are the kind of things that I'm trying to do.
Well, you do very well in both genres of music, my friend, gospel or R&B. We're glad to have you and look forward to you doing more stuff. What's your favorite song? I know the fans have their favorites. Do you have a favorite song that you've written?
Man, you know, I got a few favorites, you know, and sometimes the favorites are not necessarily the bigger hits, you know, the big singles, but I have a song that I did called In You. That I love that, you know, and a lot of people, you know, when they get married, they love to use that song. Yolanda Adams, she and her husband used it to get married, and I was with Kurt Franklin one day, and he told me his In You story, you know. So, you know, when I started writing R&B, let's say it like that. When I started writing R&B, it was pretty much the same approach that I was using when I was writing gospel. I was just writing about love, you know, and that's what I still write about.
Now, speaking of stories, I want you to tell the listeners about the Luther Peabody story.
Oh wow, man! No, you know, I knew Luther from back in the day in New York, and we knew some of the same people, and you know, we were fans of one another. Matter of fact, my wife sung on a few of Luther's records. She used to do sessions with the Luther Vandross. And Peabody, I was in Chicago with Peabody one time doing a show, and we were backstage in his dressing room, and he told me this story about the conversation he had with Luther about there only being three true R&B crooners, just three. And he said it was himself, Luther. He said it was Peabo Bryson. And he said it was Glenn Jones. Like, wow, really?
I don't think he was off at all.
Hey, man, that's high praise coming from Lou, you know.
Definitely. And it kind of is baffling, I think, to some of your fans and me, because I've played your music a lot over the years of my career. And do you hold any resentment for the record companies not really pushing your LPs in terms of crossover appeal?
I don't hold any ill will. I know that I have had records that were crossover records. Like when I came with We've Only Just Begun, that record was on fire. You know, it should have crossed over. They should have, you know, worked it on the pop side. But there were a lot of different elements back then, you know. Being, you know, on major labels, I got a chance to check out the politics of stuff. There was always a black music department and a pop department. There was always division. And a lot of times, if you had the type of artists, you know, so if you had some white artists that had crossover potential, you know, crossover to R&B, they automatically would make the promotion staff work that record and get that R&B airplay. But it was never vice versa. You know, it was never, okay, one of your artists come with a strong record that has strong crossover appeal and automatically it's done. I mean, I'm not saying they never did it because you had to be a certain type of act. Like when I was on RCA, you know, the Pointer Sisters were, you know, on the label, and you know what kind of act they were. You know, they wasn't straight R&B, but they got support on both sides. But you would have maybe like Hall and Oates, who were signed to the pop department, but when they came with a record that had that R&B flavor, they made the black division run with the record.
Well, you may not say it, but I think it's a travesty that they didn't keep their end of the bargain like they really should have, because like a Gerald Levert, I don't think Gerald received what he should have received as far as crossover, especially in his passing. And I think more people really need to look into your music, get exposed to it any way possible, and hopefully with this new era of computer age, that a lot more people will find and appreciate the music that you make.
Yeah, well, I try to look forward, even though that's the case in my career. The fact is, I'm still blessed to even be doing what I've been doing on the level that I've been doing. I mean, there's some people somewhere right now in the woods that will outsing me all day, but they'll never get a shot
Hmm.
to do, what they're gifted to do. So I try to, look forward. You have to, make the best of whatever your situation is. I've heard some people say that, that was Phyllis Hyman's problem, thinking about what should have been or could have been. You can't do that.
Hmm.
And the thing I can do is keep doing great records, I'm a church boy, so I remember a scripture that said, the race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but the one that endureth until the end.
Yes,
You
sir.
know,
Hmm.
and that's what it is with me, man.
Well, speaking of looking forward, and I don't know if it's been done unless I just missed it because I try to keep up. Has BET honored you yet?
No, I haven't had a BET honor, a tribute, but there's something that's coming in the fall. I can't say what it is, but you're gonna know everything about me that you need to know.
Okay. Well, BET, it's time for y'all to step up. It's
Yeah,
overdue. It's really overdue because you're certainly
yeah, yeah,
one of the greats.
yeah.
Glenn, what was your biggest motivation along your journey to celebrity?
My biggest motivation, I guess you could say, was believing in myself and knowing that I could do it and proving to myself that I could do it.
Hmm.
Some people are born with many, many gifts, and that's great. They jack of all trades. But for me, I always knew what I was. I never had to figure it out. From the time I was a youngster, I knew what I was and what I was going to be, and at least what I was going to try to be. And that was it, loving music and wanting to be able to do that on a certain level. That was always my wish. So, I've written a lot of songs, and that's been good for me. Songwriting is a whole separate thing, because a lot of artists and a lot of singers don't write, and they don't produce and they don't play. I'm a guitar player,
Hmm.
and I've written a lot of my stuff, so I feel fortunate.
What's been your biggest obstacle along the journey?
I guess trying to come to the realization that people are not going to be what you expect them to be. They're not going to be who you think they should be. They're not going to treat you like you treat them. They're not going to take things in consideration the way you do. And you know what the game is. It's a lot of bootleg people out here, people in the business, and just like back in the day, there was a lot of exploitation with artists and stuff.
Right.
And it's the main thing is just being mindful of that. But I've been fortunate. I mean, over these 30 years, I've had 3 good managers. And I'm a commitment person. If I lock into you and I like you and we working well and we doing business the right way, then I'll hang. But that's been the biggest thing is just trying to not be taken advantage of.
Well, you certainly have a reputation as a great singer, but you also have a reputation as a man with integrity and unwavering faith. There are a lot of artists, a lot of new artists out. Some with that, some without that. Is there any new artists that you've thought about possibly collaborating with?
I don't have a personal relationship with a lot of them, but I have some that I admire, from a creative standpoint.
Hmm.
Particularly, I'm a singer. I'm a singer. So I like people, that sing. And you got a cat like Joe that's killing, that can sing the way he does. And Music Soul Child, I'm a big fan of his. I like Marsha Ambrosia. I like what's my girl's name? Lettucey.
Hmm.
People like that.
Real singers.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, and Fantasia. I mean, come on, I can't leave her. I mean, this girl is a monster.
Let me ask you this: what do you think was the lowest point of your career?
Well, there's been times, when I had to sit and contemplate and wonder what was my next move. Record deals don't last forever. So, okay, I'm a recording artist. So what do I do next? Okay, I get to work and start trying to work with some great songwriters and get a great record. In the meantime, I go out there and grind, make a living. I do a play. I do you know, I do entertainment.
And for you, what has been the highlight of your career?
Working with my heroes, you know, working with Aretha Franklin, you know, standing on stage with her at Radio City, singing a duet with her, you know, with a 20-piece orchestra, singing at Caesar's Palace, and, you know, working with people like Dionne Warwick, who gave me the opportunity to do a record with her and Burt Bacharach, and we did the song for Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show, and the song was a theme song for the ABC television show called Finders of Lost Loves. And that was, you know, just being in the presence of greatness, you know, hanging out with Nancy Wilson, you know, Lou Rawls and Marshall Warfield, people like that, Dick Gregory. That was a big part of the reward.
Definitely good people. Glenn, who are you most proud of today?
Actually, I'm proud of my son.
Mm-hmm.
The climate in which we live, how it is for a young black man, you know, and them just trying to find their way and find their niche. And he's done that, you know, and he's a good guy. He's a good kid. He got a good sense of humor. You know, he's funny. He got this old man humor, you know, but I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of my wife for being a part of a lot of the stuff that I do musically, you know.
Well, we're proud of you and proud of the fact you have a new CD out. Tell us about the new CD, who you're doing it with.
Yeah, well, the first single, you know, we dropped that. It's on all of the digital sites,
Mm-hmm.
just to let you all know. It's the first single, but we have a full album. The song is called Love by Design, which is a duet with me and Regina Bell. It's a beautiful song, and very, very sensuous kind of song.
Love her voice. Let's love some Regina Bell.
Yeah, I've known her for forever, you know, 30 years. You know, we all lived in Jersey. Well, they're from Jersey. I just moved to Jersey from New York, but her and her brother, Bernard Bell, he was a cat that I collabed with. He collabed with me on I've Been Searching. Bernard, you know, was a talented cat, you know, co-wrote Remember the Times for Michael Jackson with Teddy. And we all just, you know, I became friends with them. And, you know, this is the second time that she and I have recorded a record. And it's always nice. I mean, we've done dates together and toured together. We did a tour in South Africa together. When this song came about, I just felt her. I said, this is a song that Regina, yeah, she could kill this. This is her. This fits her. So I called her up, and then I sent her the song. She loved it.
Her name keeps coming up on this show. I'm going to have to get on because we had Andre James was on, and he talked about Regina.
Yeah, matter of fact, she's in South Africa right now. I'm waiting for her to get back so we can get together and work on promoting the record.
Tell the folks how they can get in contact with you. Glenn, you have social media, or what's the way they can reach you? They want your services.
Yeah, you know, I'm on Twitter at Real Glenn Jones, on Instagram at Real Glenn Jones, and you can get me on Facebook, Glenn Jones.
And what we ask of all our guests at the end is, can you give our listeners 5 success tips that helped you on your journey?
You have to work hard. You have to be determined. You have to believe in yourself. You have to be open to criticism. You know, don't be thin-skinned. And you have to got to persevere, man.
Great advice, man. It has been great talking to you. We certainly got to have you back.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
We'll see you next time. Remember, do all you can and dominate your dreams.